Today's topic of discussion is, why does it feel like I'm playing from behind? Part two. This is a part two of probably what's going to be a three-part series on, the feeling of playing from behind in this game that we call life. We identified it in the last video. Now we're going to talk about what it's like if I don't do the work to correct my path. So before we get into it, let me give you some instructions. If you like this type of content, I need you to like the video. That's number one. Number two, if you would like to build on what's being said, write you a comment. If you dislike, or not necessarily dislike, disagree. If you disagree with what's being said, please write that you disagree and explain why. If you agree, write that you agree and explain why. That's all I need you to do. Now let's go ahead. Let's move along. All right. So last video, we talked about what it feels like and what it looks like when you don't identify your wrongs and look into ways to correct in your path in this game that we call life. Some people, we've all seen this. Some people just want to avoid correction so much, or the feeling of correction so much, that they don't do it at all. And this is what that gets you. Number one, you're going to constantly feel like you're the victim. You constantly going to feel like wanting to blame somebody else. And all blaming somebody else does is put them in control over your life's path. And we don't want to do that. We never want to allow any external entity to be in control over my path in a game called life. You always want to have the control. And having the controller, you must take accountability. If you don't take accountability, it's like you're basically riding in the car without controlling it, without steering it, you can't put your foot on the gas, you can't put your foot on the brake. You just riding in a unmanned vehicle. Now, whether you believe it or not, some people do that. That's just like Waymo, or when some people put their car in auto drive. Me, I'm not one of those people that's comfortable with that. I'd rather be in control of my own life. I'd rather be in control of my own path. All right, that's number one. Number two, hold on, give me a second. Number two, you're gonna always be in a cycle of, I can't get over the hump, for lack of a better phrase. It's like every time life is going good for you, there's always gonna be something bad that happens. All that is your karma catching up to you. If you don't wanna get even on the books, it's gonna get even for you. Some people don't believe in karma, but the universal law is the universal law. No matter what you wanna call it, eventually you're going to have to pay up. And one thing that I realized, and something that my parents told me, you better make it right before I have to make it right. If I gotta make it right, you're not gonna like how I make it right. And that's how the universe, or God, or Allah, or whatever you wanna call it, responds to people as they interact with the game called life. It's imperative, or it's my recommendation, that you get even for yourself before the universe gets even for you. One of my biggest issues in the game called life was being transparent and completely honest and having integrity. That's all that is. Within some of my relationships with young women, I would never commit to a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. So in my mind, that put me in the clear to be able to do what I wanted to do. While technically I was right, morally I wasn't, because I was deceptive, and some of the ways I answered questions, I was deceptive in some of the ways that I was moving and behaving. And of course, everybody pick up on that. But I did that for a long time, honestly. It took me a while to catch on to what was happening. While I was doing that, it was very hard for me to get to that place where I truly wanted to be in life. It just, it just is what it was. And it's crazy how I'm thinking about it now. That's exactly what was going on. That was at least one of the reasons why I couldn't get to where I wanted to get to in life. I remember one time I was in college. I was doing this, of course. And what would look like from the outside looking in, a very, serious relationship. But I was still not being completely honest about what I was doing outside of it. And of course, I didn't, we didn't have an official title or anything. So, me, I'm like, I'm in the clear. I remember one night, I'm just riding around and it's raining. Very inconvenient. I'm riding around, get a flat in the rain. Minutes from my destination. Less than 10 minutes, less than 2 minutes probably from my destination. And one thing about me, man, this is one of my favorite features about myself. I know when the universe is punishing me. So I never take it personal. I never take it personal. I already knew. I already knew. I said, okay, I get it. I took my lick. I sat out there in the rain. I ain't try to call nobody to help me, nothing like that. I sat out there in the rain. I thought about what was going on in my life. It was some good reflection time. And I proceeded to change my tire in the rain, leading up to me continuing to my destination, probably to one of the young ladies' homes in the midst of all the craziness. Which it didn't really seem like craziness at that time, but looking back on it, it could have been crazier than it was. But that's just one example of, the universal law reminding you that you got some work to do. I feel like if I try to avoid that time in the rain and put my own tire on and went to go call somebody or so-and-so, I probably wouldn't have been able to realize that I needed to make a change. Not saying I made the change right away, but me remembering that time let me know that I knew that I needed to make a change. And that was part of the process of me making a serious shift towards better integrity, better honesty, better transparency across the board, though. You know what I'm saying? Because if you look at how I lived outside of my situationships or relationship, they were a relationship. We just didn't claim it. I'm a pretty clean cut guy. But one thing that I recognize in life, how you do small things is how you do all things. We might have looked at that as a small thing, which I did at the time, but it translated itself into other moments of my life where I needed to, have high integrity. But then, I reverted. How y'all doing? I reverted back to that because it was easier. You get what I'm saying? So please, guys and girls, if you're watching this, don't put yourself in this everlasting cycle of I can't get to where I want to be. Because, in the world that we live in today, and we seeing so much, it's putting us in places where we have vast goals for our lives, which is great. But our being has to match the goals that we have for ourselves. We can't have $1 million goals, but $15 character. It has to match. If it doesn't match, it won't happen. If it doesn't match, it won't happen. In order to have $1 million goals, you have to have, in order to achieve $1 million goals, you have to have $1 million character to match it. You only achieve what you are. You only receive what you are. We've heard that many times. Hey, how y'all doing? Got him. Come here, man. So, I think I'm gonna stop it right there. I think we get the point. This one's a little bit longer than it usually is. I'm gonna try to cut it up and make it shorter so I don't take too much of your time. But if you want these videos to be longer, we as a community have to interact with the video. You gotta like it if you like it. You can't in front on my video now. You know what I'm saying? If this is something that you're interested in and you want to hear more of, let me know by liking the video. And send it to 3 people. How about that? Send it to 3 people you feel like could use it. Another thing I want you to do, I'm just a reminder, we're gonna have accountable conversation in the comment section, which means if you agree, you're gonna write that you agree and explain. If you disagree, you're gonna write that you disagree and explain. And if you would like to build on the conversation or discussion, you're gonna write that I want to build on this thought, theory, concept, or fact. This is something that we're gonna do on every post. So I'm just preparing you for, or instructing you on how to interact with the video in order to make them longer, in order to make them more fulfilling and more detailed. Right now, I'm just doing this while I'm walking my dog. In order to put a little bit more effort into it, you know, I need to know that people are actually interacting with the content. As people start to interact with the content, I'm gonna put a little bit more juice into it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna squeeze a little bit of the lemon. Squeeze a little bit more. Another thing, if you have discussion topics that you would like me to talk about, put that in the comment section as well. Just put it down now. Just, hey, you don't even have to talk, you don't have to say no name, you don't have to say that you need it. You could just say, talk about this. And then as I see it, I'll write it down on my idea board and build out discussion post about it. Cause this all this is. This is 1,500 level courses, real life courses. This all this is. This real life courses. And this is the discussion post. And below is our discussion as members of the class of life. So I appreciate y'all for kicking it with me. I expect to see your interactions, and I can't wait to continue to build on what we got going on. Keep on building on the community as well. So that's all I got right now. As I always say, progress over perfection. And I'll holler at y'all later.